Let's go to the trading floor in Chicago, find out what's going on. Here we have Oliver Sloup standing by. He's with Blue Line Futures. I can't imagine what folks are talking about here this morning on the trading floor there, Oliver. Maybe you can shed some light on what's driving the trade here.
Well, it's been pretty crazy really since yesterday morning when we got that tweet from President Trump suggesting that there's a possibility of raising tariffs in the market, fully kind of anticipating that play out. But it is not set in stone yet. Nonetheless, we're seeing a lot of pressure in commodities. We saw it in crude oil and the stocks when they first opened up at 5 p.m. Central. And then obviously the grain open at 7 p.m. Central really confirmed a negative bias. But we are recovering, which is nice to see. We've got that July corn contract kind of pressing up against some technical levels from Friday's session. We're looking at 366 to 370. If we can kind of get some consecutive closes out above here, I think that will have repaired the damage from the overnight trade, and we can continue focusing a little bit more on this year's crop and weather concerns going forward. On top of that, we do have a USDA report out at the end of the week that could potentially lead to some position squaring from the funds. We know that they've had a relatively large net long position, not relatively, it's been a record long or record net short position there in corn. They're still short about 307 contracts, 307,000 contracts. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them tighten things up as we head towards the middle to the back half of the week.
Yeah, I noticed where the funds are still net short in the corn, like you mentioned, about 148,000 in the soybeans. And even in the Chicago wheat, they were short about 83,000 contracts. I believe in Kansas City, they were short about 58,000 contracts. Did that surprise you at all?
You know, it hasn't really surprised me one bit, especially for the soybeans. We've known that they've been under probably the most pressure, and here we are in uncharted territory. Again, the market over the past several weeks has been pricing in a no-deal situation. So I think a large part of that is priced into the market. Potentially this is kind of peak panic in the overnight and early morning trade, and we can start to see some capitulation and bargain buyers step in. And again, going back to a comment I made earlier, we saw this tweet come out with regards to the possibility of raising tariffs, and it really might still kind of blow off. So there's nothing set in stone to say that tariffs are going to raise just yet. So if we kind of linger at the 10% tariffs, I think potentially there's an opportunity for some short covering here.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's very true. All right, Oliver, we'll come back and take a look at our livestock.